Worldwide Gaming, we look at the up-and-coming releases. I review Tomb Raider. Vince reviews Gran Turismo 5 and also tests out the simulator. And John checks out the top 10 vehicles and hits the streets of Sandringham in Talkback. Hello and welcome to the inaugural episode of Worldwide Gaming. I'm your host Ryan.
I'm John.
I'm Vince.
And since we're new around here, why don't we explain what we're going to be doing on this show? So Vince, why don't you start?
Basically what I'm doing is I'm going to look after the hardware side of things, go out into the world and see how games actually fend up to reality.
I'm going out into the streets and I'm just asking questions to people like you, getting your opinion on how you feel about video games. At the same time, I'll also be going out and getting interviews with some pretty big name developers and yeah, just talking to people, whoever wants to talk to me.
And lastly, what I'm going to do, I'm going to be reviewing any new games, any old games, pretty much anything I think that's worth playing. So why don't we cut to the first segment of our first show, The Forecast with Damien.
A darkened storm is crossing into our dimension, carrying with it Beyond Two Souls, coming out October 8 on PlayStation 3.
Do they even realize what's happened?
Looking towards the paper forest now, where it's always sunny in Tearaway, out October 4 on PlayStation Vita. And finally, Gotham City's recent cloud cover is clearing up with Batman Arkham Origins reaching all consoles October 10.
Luckily, there ain't a problem in the world that can't be solved with a little bit of money. Tonight, we all win.
So that was the forecast. Guys, what do we think about Beyond Two Souls?
I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's really, really cool, especially with Ellen Page in it. You know, the idea of like celebrities getting more and more involved in video games is really good, especially as the production values are going up. So I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, more talented voice actors getting involved into video games. And
do you think it's easy to make a transition from doing movies to video games like that easy?
I think so. I think so because, you know, back in the old days with, you know, Samuel L. Jackson when he did Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, it was just him in front of a microphone and that was it. Nowadays, though, they're in front of a camera. They've got all these little dots on their head and they still have to act. But instead of actually seeing their faces, that gets animated and then put into the game. But they're still pulling all the facial expressions.
Next up was Tearaway, which is a cool little PS Vita game. You use like the back touch screen to like make them jump and
You
stuff.
played that at E3, didn't you?
Yeah, it was the first game I went to. As soon as I got through the doors, went to Tearaway.
Very cool.
So I'm interested in actually starting to play my Vita again, hopefully. And then lastly is Batman Arkham Origins. What do we?
I've always loved how dark all the Batman games have become. It used to be, he wasn't exactly the brightest of superheroes, but he's always been, in my mind, the darkest.
He's so tough and gritty. Ugh,
yeah, I know, right? Especially when he goes
died.
pow and zoink.
All right. How about we take it over to my first review, Tomb Raider.
I thought I lost you, girl. Are you okay?
I came to Tomb Raider with the lowest of expectations. I played around with the first couple of games, but decided against the more modern ones. That's why it's so surprising that Crystal Dynamics' reboot of the Tomb Raider franchise not only has me interested in the franchise again, but is also one of the better games to come out this year.
Go now!
I'd finally set out to make my mark, to find adventure. But instead, adventure found me.
You no longer play as the ass-kicking, back-flipping, double pistol-wielding Lara Croft we saw before 2008, but a younger, fragile and more innocent version. The story starts with Lara and a crew on a ship, Endurance, sailing the open seas looking for the lost treasure of Yamatai. After a freak storm which destroys the Endurance, Lara finds herself kidnapped and taken to a cave somewhere on a mysterious island. After escaping, your goal is then to meet up with the rest of your crew and find a way off. It becomes pretty clear that the developer wants you to feel for Lara, or almost protect her. This is most apparent whenever Lara dies. Spikes will pierce her skull as she tries to claw away off them, boulders will crush her as the camera lingers on her face that little too long, and there are many times where a missed QuickTime event will get Lara strangled or stabbed. These images are very unsettling and completely reinforce the idea that you need to keep her safe. That isn't to say that she's completely helpless though. At her disposal are a few nifty weapons and gadgets that can be used for both combat and to solve puzzles throughout the game. For example, some walls can only be destroyed with a shotgun, and some boxes can only be opened with an upgraded axe. The game manages to balance the pacing of the game very well. There isn't too many long shootouts, and getting from area to area is easy enough as the game focuses on smaller environmental puzzles rather than large ones that halt your progress, although there are still a few throughout the game. The combat itself is as fluid as any other good third-person shooter. Headshots are satisfying to pull off, especially with the bow and arrow, and the weapons have alternate firing modes to help deal with certain combat scenarios. There is also an upgrade system for both your weapons, which will increase damage and firing speed, and Lara herself can be upgraded to be able to use new combat moves and traverse the open landscape faster. The island Lara has found herself on is home to many different environments. One moment you may be travelling through dense jungles filled with wolves, then you might find yourself in a tense shootout in favela-like territory, and not too much later, you'll be guiding Lara through a literal river of blood. Scattered throughout these places are a large number and types of collectibles. Some give fully voiced dialogue.
This traditional no mask represents a hateful woman in the guise of a demon.
However, there are some that just seem to be filler, padding out the game and trying to get you to come back to the same areas. And although there is an easy to use fast travel system via the campsites you visit along your journey, only the completionist should bother gathering all of them. All in all, Tomb Raider is an excellent adventure game and a must-have, especially for fans of open environments, tight combat, and have a knack for exploring. Even without collecting everything, the game has a decent length and is worth any gamer's time.
So guys, that was my Tomb Raider review. It's been months since it's out. Why have you still not played it? Tell me, why?
I don't know, like, the first Tomb Raider game kind of put me off a bit, and I just haven't really picked them up since, and I've just been too busy playing other games. Like, you know, recently I've been getting into Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and that's just, like, eating up all my time.
Well, the only reason I haven't gotten around to it was like a deep childhood traumatic thing with my sister. She first played, the very first one was it PlayStation 1 that it was on? The very first one? Yeah. She got that one, it was the very first level. I'm sitting down, I must have been about 4 or 5. And the wolves come out, and she screams, she throws the controller, and I'm screaming, and then I'm like, just start bawling my eyes out. It was terrifying.
I never got that far into the game. I got up to the to the tomb.
There's tombs in that game?
Yeah,
Whoa.
back when Tomb Raider actually meant something. I got up to the tomb and I went, okay, cool. So that's the front entrance, and it looks all, like, you know, scary and ominous and stuff. It's snowing.
Pixely.
And I'm just like, right, okay, now, how do I get in? Where is the button to open the front door? I never found it. And I just went, nah, I went back to N64.
All right.
That was it.
I remember in the old Tomb Raider games as well, like the backflipping and like shooting
Yeah.
tigers in the face, and then in one of the games, I think it's the second one, you fight dinosaurs or something.
I saw that. I don't
Yeah.
even know what the hell that was all on about.
So this one's like kind of a departure. It's a reboot rather than a sequel.
yeah, it
which-
doesn't quite look like she is the original Tomb Raider
yeah,
either. So
but
that's
I
why-
like that because I never had that much ties to the old franchise.
Well, to
so.
be fair though, as well, like Lara Croft, the actress has changed so many times as well. Like we all remember Angelina Jolie, but
Yeah.
like there's been quite a few actors as well, and her appearance in the games has changed a lot too as well, as they change the actresses in the movies. So
I didn't remember Angelina Jolie until you brought it up. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot. So that's it for Tomb Raider. After the break, we have John's top 10, so stay tuned.